Hey, it's Quadix here. I got a Discord server now. I got a couple of mods on there. There were some issues last night and this morning. It's been fixed. Just don't do stupid stuff on there and you won't get banned. It's chill there. I'm gonna be on there every day, so if you want to join, the link will be in the description. Check out my Instagram. The link to that is also in the description. Feel free to DM me. I respond to all DMs. If you have time, please check out my other series. The links to playlists of all the what ifs I've done will be in the description. Check out the community tab. I use that for polls to select what videos I do and more. The link to that is also in the description. Please like, comment, Q as much as you would like, or any other comments you may have, like what if suggestions and more. I read all comments. Make sure you're subscribed. If not, hit that subscribe button. When we hit that 10k, I'll do something. I don't know yet. Now that that's out of the way, roll the intro.
Wanted a bitch who was on the move, but you want a goddamn late. Got it one in my bed and she just wanna sleep. Fucking up all of the sheets. She only wake up to eat. Do this shit every week. Like why you do that? Crying you wanna be great, but sleeping until the next day. Why you do that? Don't got that much in the bank. We go out, she order the steak. Why you do that? Can't explain it.
The village was in a buzz, looking livelier than usual. Many people noted. However, there was reason to be. Today was the day of the Chunin finals. People chatted happily as they made their way to the stadium, talking about who would win and who they would place their bets on. Of course, most of the buzz was about the last Uchiha. Many people were sure that the last Uchiha would no doubt emerge as the winner of the Chunin finals. It seemed as if the name of Uchiha automatically distinguished them as the strongest. Of course, people had reason to believe that the last Uchiha was no other than the younger brother of Uchiha Itachi, the greatest prodigy to come out of the Uchiha clan. So there was a lot of hope placed on the youngest Uchiha to perform well. Many other people were rooting for the Hyuga genius, Hyuga Neji. The boy was hailed as the prodigy of the Hyuga clan, and there was no doubt as to how powerful the clan was. A prodigy of a powerful clan such as the Hyuga would no doubt be another favorable contender for the title of the winner of the Chunin exams. Naruto smirked as he made his way to the stadium, ensuring he was out of everyone's sight. It was important for him to not be seen by anyone. He wanted his entrance to be one worthy enough for the son of the Yondain. As he made his way to the stadium, he paid close attention to what the people were saying. Most of them seemed damn sure of the Sasuke's weak victory, while the others were in favor of the Hyuga. Others were not even mentioned, which suited him just fine. The more he was ignored, more potent would be their guilt. He wanted the people of Konoha to know just who they were tormenting all this while. As the stadium came in sight, Naruto changed his route to arrive at the back of the stadium. Looking up, he saw the back wall of the stadium looming in front of him. There are still over 5 minutes before the announcement begins, he mused. He sat down to wait, and while he waited, he thought back to what Neji had said during the preliminaries. Flashback. Naruto watched in horror as Neji stood over the downed form of Hinata. He was twitching in pain. No one could defy fate. Hinata-sama. Fate deemed you to be weak. This is why you lost to me. Flashback end. Naruto frowned as he thought back to those words. The amount of scorn Neji held for his sister was unreal. He whispered, "Why do you believe in fate so much, Neji? Just what happened to you to believe in crap like that?" He was shook out of his thoughts when his keen ears picked up an announcement. "All the final contestants, please get down in the arena." Naruto took a deep breath and stood up. This is it, he told himself. Looking up, he saw the top of the wall was about 10 meters above the branch of the tree he was standing on. He made a clone, who charged his legs with chakra and jumped, easily vaulting over the wall. Shikamaru looked as lazily as usual, but he closely observed his opponent. His opponents, the girl from Sand, looked every bit confident for her victory, but there was a small hint of apprehension in her eyes, which darted around the arena anxiously. He didn't bother looking at Shino. The guy was as stoic as a stone, and never gave anything away. The glasses and high collar of his jacket only made it difficult to read him. The puppeteer from Sand was just like his sister, but unlike her, there was no anxiousness radiating from him. The last guy from Sand was the one that bothered Shikamaru the most. The redhead was dangerous, no doubt about that. Although his expression was stoic, it was betrayed by the sheer amount of bloodlust he could feel from the guy. He still remembered what happened to Lee in the preliminaries. Gaara had not hesitated one bit to kill him with his sand. He was a seasoned killer, one that Shikamaru doubted anyone wanted to cross. From the minute twitches that he would see, Shikamaru deduced that he was eager to get on with the fighting. He looked over to Neji, who was Naruto's opponent, regarded as the Yuki of the year of his batch. Neji was a proclaimed genius of the Hyuga, who were known for their deadly and unique taijutsu. While a formidable opponent, Shikamaru doubted he would win against Naruto. He knew that Naruto was powerful, but he had the feeling that Naruto had yet to show what he was fully capable of. Speaking of, he looked around trying to find his blonde friend. Him and Sasuke, both of them were absent from the lineup, as well as the audience stands. If they didn't arrive right now, troublesome, he muttered. The proctor, a different one from the preliminaries, was standing in front of their lineup, a lazy one from what he could see. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chunin exam finals. I am Shiranui Genma, the proctor of this stage. The matches will be as followed: Uzumaki Naruto versus Hyuga Neji, Uchiha Sasuke versus Sabaku no Gaara, Aburame Shino versus Sabuku no Kankuro, and Sabuku no Temari versus Nara Shikamaru. Turning his attention to the lineup, Genma continued. The rules are the same as preliminaries. I don't know why I struggled so much with that word multiple times. However, whether you win or lose doesn't matter. Your promotion will be decided on the basis of your skill, your strategy, and execution. Stands. Sakura looked worried as she tried to spot her two teammates. Ino, who was sitting next to her, said, "What do you think your teammates are, Sakura?" While she still believed Sasuke would win the finals, she had gained a healthy amount of respect for the blonde Uzumaki. Ever since she suffered the humiliating defeat at his hands, the ease at which he handled her told her how pathetic she really was. Also, it was evident just how much he was holding back from absolutely thrashing her. Sakura shook her head worryingly. "I don't know." "Where are you, Sasuke-kun, Naruto?" A sound coming from above the finalists caught her ears, as well as every person's attention. The arena. The proctor was just about to speak some more when a sound above them caused everyone, including the audience and the Kage, to look up. In a puff of smoke, a small object, a three-pronged kunai. There was a collective gasp amongst the audience when they recognized what it was. Genma had wide eyes as he stared at the kunai, being reminded of the only person in the entire nation to use to wield these. Before he could think anything else, a person appeared in a blue flash. A pin drop silence washed over the entire stadium as everyone got a good look at the person. Kage Box. Hiruzen stared in awe as the person was revealed to be just who he thought it would be. And Kami, he looked just like his father. Minato, he would be proud of who he's become. Besides him, Orochimaru was seething. His fists were hidden from view, so that no one could see that they were clenched tightly. Uzumaki Naruto. It is not possible for anyone to master that jutsu in just a month, which means you knew it well before, and you knowingly held back against me. Very bold. But then he smirked. If you weren't the Jinchuriki of the Kaibi, I would have marked you instead of Sasuke. To have that jutsu in my arsenal, I would have been unstoppable. Stance. Everyone's eyes were at the point of bulging out when they saw the kunai used by their beloved Yonde being thrown in the arena. Everyone had gasped collectively and had jumped up on reflex when the person who had likely thrown the kunai had appeared. It couldn't be. It just couldn't, were the thoughts of everyone. They were filled with disbelief, trying to deny what was right in front of their eyes. But no matter how much they wanted to, it was simply undeniable. Spiky blonde hair, which was no longer tied in a ponytail, but in a style that was painfully reminding of a similar blonde two jaw-length spiky bangs, although tied beneath the headband and the bangs themselves tied around the middle. There was no mistaking just who the blonde Uzumaki resembled so much. He was almost a literal copy of Namikaze Minato, with only his hairstyle distinguishing from the famous Hokage. The Yondan couldn't return from the dead, which left only one conclusion: to think that the demon container was also the son of the Yondaime. The crowd exploded in mutters, exclamations of Yondaime, mostly drowning any other verbal exclamation. It was something that no one was expecting to see. No one knew that the Yondaime had a legacy, and now that they thought about it, it was right in front of their eyes all the time. Guilt began to creep into every Konoha villagers about how they treated the boy, who was almost royalty considering just whose legacy he represented. "Is that Naruto? He looks so hot," Ina cried out as she hungrily looked at Naruto. Then she closely looked at Naruto. While he had only changed his hairstyle, he closely resembled a person that was on the tip of her tongue. Sakura was beside herself as she gazed upon Naruto's new look with a slight blush. "He looks almost as handsome as Sasuke-kun, if not more." Arena. Naruto stood in a crouch, right hand grasping the handle of the kunai and eyes in the front, facing the genin assembled. He took in the expression of each of them. Shikamaru's narrowed gaze, Shino's raised eyebrow, Kankuro's frown, Tamari's appreciative but slightly guarded gaze, Neji's narrowed eyes but otherwise neutral expression. But what put him on guard most was Gaara. Pulling out the lodged kunai with a slight jerk, he slowly stood up, maintaining eye contact with Gaara. Gaara's mouth almost twisted into a maniac smile, but it was so quick that Naruto would have missed it if he weren't looking for it. He stood up to his full height, towering full 4 inches above him. Without breaking eye contact, both of them seemed to size each other up. It was as if, along with them, their Biju were also looking each other through their eyes. A new feeling washed over the assembled group. It was as if, at first, there was an existing sensation of a contest between themselves. Tamari and Kankuro knew that Gaara was the strongest among the three of them. And the genin from Konoha knew Neji was the strongest amongst them. It was a clash between both the groups. But with Naruto's arrival, it seemed that the purpose of the clash went utterly void, for here was a genin whose aura seemed to say that he already knew he was the strongest amongst them. The feeling was unsettling. "Uzumaki," Gaara whispered, though it perfectly conveyed his bloodlust. Naruto did not change his expression, promoting Gaara to continue. "Mother cries for your blood." Naruto merely lifted an eyebrow and said, "She's gonna have to wait for it." He then proceeded to stand next to Shikamaru, who turned an annoyed expression to him. "You're a troublesome guy. Have I ever told you that?" Naruto smirked but said nothing. Genma gazed at Naruto for a moment more, before turning his gaze and calling out, "Just to be clear, I'll say it one more time. The same rules apply as last time. Opponents continue to fight until one is either knocked out or unable to continue. I also reserve the right to stop that match when I see fit." With that said, the contestants of the first match will step forward. The others will proceed to the contestant stand to wait for their matches. Shikamaru patted Naruto on his shoulder and walked off to sit with the rest of the rookie. When the field cleared, it was just Neji, Naruto, and Genma who stood between the two fighters as the two sized each other up. "You should give up, Uzumaki. Fate has already declared me the winner today." Neji broke the silence, informing Naruto as if what he said was a fact, nothing more. Naruto smirked, both at the sequels from the female audience and what he was about to say at him, and replied, "Your eyes are said to be great, yet they can't even see the fate is not the protector of this match. Genma-san is..." Neji's eyes hardened. "Everything in life is set by fate, as is your defeat. But I can see you do not understand fate." Slipping into his stance, he continued, Allow me to explain by demonstrating it to you." Genma knew an opportunity when he saw it, and he swung his hand down in a slicing motion. "Hajime!" Immediately jumping back, he made a half ram seal. 8 clones popped into existence. "Go!" he commanded. All of them moved into the engage. Neji did not seem alarmed at all. He calmly engaged the clones with controlled expertise, slowly but surely dispatching them. Naruto observed that Neji's eyes never once moved in their sockets, always gazing forward. As the last of the clone was finished off, Neji was surprised a bit that another batch was already coming in to engage. But no matter, they would not win. Fate had decreed him to be the victor of this match. Stands. What is he doing using Kage Bunshin against Neji? Asuma wondered, confused by Naruto's tactics. Alongside him, Kurenai and Guy also were wondering the same thing. If he knows the Hiraishin, he could have ended the match easily. So why isn't he? With Neji's Byakugan, any type of attack using clones wouldn't work because of his all-around vision, Guy put in his thoughts. Perhaps there is more to this match than just achieving victory that we're not seeing. A few seats away, the head and the heiress of the Hyuga clan watched the match with impassive expression. Hayashi paid careful attention to the Uzumaki, who was intently studying Neji's fighting style. There was no doubt about it. Naruto was the son of his old friend, the Yondaime. Had he not known that Naruto knew that jutsu that made Namikaze Minato so known, he would have been in favor of Neji's victory. But now he felt like Naruto was setting Neji up for something. Like a predator playing with its prey before finishing it off. He would have told Hanabi about his assurance of Neji's victory, but that was before he realized just who Neji was facing. He wisely chose to keep quiet. Arena. There! Naruto mentally exclaimed as Neji finished off the 4 batch of shadow clones. He waited for Neji to get his breath back as he prepared himself, setting into his stance. He found out all he needed to fight this match on his terms. Neji finished off the last clone and faced the original, all the while mentally cursing. While it took much longer than he estimated, he was able to finish all of them off. But that wasn't what surprised them. The clones along with the original didn't seem to have any chakra network at all. The Hyuga clan Taijutsu was largely based on attacking the Tenketsu in the chakra network, cutting off the flow of chakra where they struck. However, the revelation that Naruto did not have a chakra network almost made his Taijutsu null and void. It was almost like he was fighting blind. Almost. Along with learning the location of the Tenketsu, the Hyuga also learned the locations of various pressure points. With the option of striking the Tenketsu out, he only had pressure points to rely on. While not as many as the number of the Tenketsu, there were enough for him to strike. He turned to the original, watching him settle into a strange stance. He settled into his knowing that Uzumaki Naruto had given him yet another reason, along with being the son of the Yondaime, to believe that he was a very dangerous opponent. I presume you know that I'm not a normal opponent by now, Naruto called out. Neji narrowed his eyes and deactivated them. Indeed, you are not. But that doesn't matter. Fate has spoken in my favor today, which is why you will lose. Naruto narrowed his eyes. If you insist on believing so much in fate, then allow me to show you just how fragile the concept of fate is. With that, he moved. Almost everyone, including most of the Jonin in the stands, was perplexed as one moment Naruto was standing 10 feet away and the next moment a feet away, being barely blocked by the Hyuga. Many people thought that it was Hiraishin. However, when Neji was sent skidding back from the force of the kick, they realized that Naruto moved so fast that the momentum had augmented the force behind the kick, causing Neji to go skidding backwards. But Naruto had only started. What? Neji had barely begun to think when Naruto attacked again. He was shocked at just how fast and ruthless he was forced onto the defensive. As he tried to block the attacks, Neji had thought that Naruto's fighting style was focused more on the strength of the attacks rather than speed. He was promptly proved wrong when he failed to hide his wince when he felt the force behind each of the attacks. He moved by instinct as he attempted to redirect the force behind Naruto's attacks. The speed behind his attacks was nothing to scoff at as well. While the strikes had impressive force behind them, they seemed to be augmented by the sheer speed that Naruto was using to strike. Son of the Yondaime, indeed. Only years of training in the martial arts of his family and developing his instincts allowed him to dodge his attacks. Even though when he was dodging and blocking by instinct only, that wasn't the only problem. His hands were feeling unusually hot. Neji thought process resulted in a punch slipping past his guard right into his left cheek, and he found himself flying backwards from the force of it. He prevented from landing on his back by twisting himself midair and landing on his feet. His hand came up to tenderly rub the surprisingly slightly burnt area as he narrowed his eyes, trying to figure out just how was Naruto defying fate. Kage box. Hiruzen was thoroughly impressed when he saw Naruto engaging Neji in Taijutsu. Usually it was considered suicidal to engage a Hyuga in Taijutsu, but it seemed Naruto had no such qualms. Not just that, but his Taijutsu was effective enough to put a Hyuga on the defensive, and it seemed he added his own touch to it, if the small burn on Neji's face was anything to go by. Most unpredictable ninja indeed. He pulled out a notepad which he had brought to write points on which each genin qualified for the position. He wrote down something and kept it aside. Your genin is quite impressive and bold, Hokage Dono. He must be very confident to engage a shinobi of the Hyuga clan in Taijutsu, Orochimaru commented, playing his role as the supposed Kazekage. Hiruzen chuckled. I'm sure that this is only the beginning, Kazekage Dono. He will surprise us of that I have no doubt. Mentally though, you don't give me that credit I deserve, Orochimaru. I don't think I don't know that it's you in those robes. Stands. The surprise was evident on the faces of the three jonin. Not every day you see a prodigal Hyuga being bested by the supposed dead last, not revealed to be the son of their late Hokage in Taijutsu. Guy was crying, shouting something about Naruto's youth, with Lee vehemently agreeing with them. I don't know. Kami, is this what he's capable of? Ino whispered in amazement and slight fear. She was suddenly infinitely grateful that Naruto hadn't gone full force in their spar that day. If he had, she would have been dead. Naruto? Sakura whispered in awe as she watched her teammate best one of the Hyuga at their own game. It suddenly became clear just how utterly huge that gap between their skill was. She couldn't even begin to see his movements. That's how fast he was. The first attack alone would have taken her out of the fight. A few seats away, Hinata watched with a slight smile as Naruto held his own against her prodigal cousin. Naruto-kun? Kiba, on the other hand, was shocked and almost jealous of the speed and skill Naruto was displaying. It made him think back to his own fight with the blonde. He ruefully smiled at how easily he was beaten. He had grown up with Naruto, and if there was anything he could say for certain about the blonde, it was that Naruto never gave up. He could say without a doubt that Naruto had trained his butt off to reach where he is now. It sort of inspired him to become the same. After all, if Naruto could, why couldn't he? Arena. Neji hit his wins as he kept his gaze on Naruto, slowly standing up. He evaluated on whatever he had experienced so far. There's no doubt that he's physically strong, almost on the same level as Lee. I'm willing to bet that he could withstand the amount of force he dishes in his attacks himself as well, and he's fast, unbelievably so. Nothing else would be expected of the son of the fastest shinobi to ever live, after all. I never knew that it was possible to have such impossible fast reflexes. His fighting style is lethal, but in a way I've never seen before. Every fighting style has a focal point which is based on. Gai Sensei's Goken is based on strength. Juken is based on precision, but his style seemingly incorporates strength, speed, flexibility, and precision, and it's as if he can switch to any of them if one proves to be inadequate against one opponent. Not just that, his movements are bizarre. He seems to have mastered the way to perfectly switch from one set of movements to another without hesitation. His hands also feel as if they're on fire, burning any area of contact. Fully standing up, he took a deep breath to center himself. I'll have to avoid his hands. No, pretty much his every blow. I'm getting to you with the fragility of your so-called fate, Naruto asked, and no one missed the sarcasm in his voice. Neji chose to ignore that and instead asked, how did you manage to burn my face? Naruto rose his eyebrows in a way that strongly reminded Neji of himself. He raised his eyebrows that way when his teammates seemed to suggest an utterly stupid idea. So that's how it feels to be on the receiving side of it. He felt quite stupid, to be honest, and was a bit glad that he had a burn on his cheek. Otherwise, his blush would have been caught. What idiot reveals the secret of his technique? Baka? Naruto asked in a bored tone. Kage box. Hiruzen heartily laughed at the question. It was highly amusing when, in his youth, his opponents seemed to spare him the thought process of trying to figure out their technique by revealing it on their own. It allowed him to create a counter strategy quite easily. Instead of finishing him off, they seemed to choose to gloat about their technique. What idiots. A very true question, won't you agree, Kazekage Dono? Orochimaru forced out a chuckle, while he couldn't shake off the feeling that the old monkey knew it was him and was openly mocking him. I agree, Hokage Dono. Hiruzen smirked and turned back to watch what was turning out to be a highly entertaining match. Naruto had slowly shown his superior powers in Taijutsu and had yet to show something that qualified him for Chunin, except for keeping emotions under control. He had to keep his smirk from widening, for he was reminded of a younger Orochimaru bragging about the secret behind the techniques he developed himself. What an idiot. Stands. Kiba shared the amusement with his Hokage, for he was laughing as well. He never knew Naruto had it in him to mock others. Hinata was trying to hide her giggles behind her hand. It would not do if her father caught her laughing at Naruto, calling her cousin an idiot. Sakura and Ino shared no such restraints and were full out giggling. The Jonin had mixed reactions. Asuma had snorted and had to catch his smoking stick from flying onto the head of the person in front of him. Kurenai was stifling her giggles like her student, and not wanting to offend Guy for laughing at his student. Guy had an entirely different response. Instead of being offended on behalf of his student, tears came from his eyes and he clenched his fist. What a hip response! No doubt you have passed your coolness onto your student, my eternal rival Kakashi. Needless to say, he entirely ignored insults on Neji, choosing to focus on how hip and cool Naruto's response was. Arena. Neji was barely keeping himself from turning red in embarrassment at all the giggles in the stadium that were aimed at him as a result of Naruto's comeback. Naruto was entirely amused by the giggles resounding in the stadium, but chose to keep it to himself. No need to embarrass him any further. Time to continue the fight, this time with a bit of misdirection. Okay guys, that's where I'm gonna end it. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next part. Bye.
Wanted a bitch who was on the move, but you on a goddamn late. Got that one in my bed and she just wanna sleep. Fucking up all of the sheets. She only wake up to eat. Do this shit every week. Like why you do that? Crying you wanna be great, but sleeping until the next day. Why you do that? Got that much in the bank. We go out, she order the steak.